Hey, this is Russell Moore, and I'm back today with Reading in Exile. Haven't done a Reading in Exile in a while, but I promised some of you that I would when the favorite books of the year came out and that we would restart Reading in Exile. So if you go to my website, you can see every year I put 10 or 12 of my favorite books of the year. And this is a way I can sort of show you each of those books and explain more why I chose them. The first one, Marilyn Robinson, Jack. I don't put them in any order, usually, but I mean, y'all know something about Marilyn Robinson is going to be at the top of my list. And this is, it's a novel that's in the Gilead series. So if you saw the Reading in Exile that I did on Marilyn Robinson earlier, maybe two of them I did. I don't remember how many I've done on Marilyn Robinson, or the interview that I did with her on Signposts about the trilogy. This is in continuity with that, but it's different. So it's hard kind of to explain when somebody says, what are these Gilead novels about? And you come and say, well, it's an elderly preacher in Iowa. It's hard to communicate what it's about, because what she does is to take you into the internal life of these characters in ways that you don't even realize what's happened till the book's over. And they're not really sequels of each other or even prequels in a Star Wars sort of way. They're instead sort of the same time period, some of the same events from different points of view. So from Reverend Ames, Reverend Boughton, Lila, the wife, comes to be wife of Reverend Ames. Those different points of view. This is different. It's one of the characters, Jack, but where the other three, I would say, are more about home and about rootedness in Iowa. This is about exile, kind of, alienation, and a finding of a new kind of home. Because Jack is sort of the prodigal son. Well, there's no sort of about it. He's a prodigal son of his pastor father. You start to see the backstory of exactly why he's carrying the kind of guilt that he's carrying. But he leaves Gilead, he leaves Iowa, he ends up in a new place, in a new city, and he starts to develop a relationship with an African-American woman. Now remember, this is mid-20th century. So you not only have someone who's alienated from his home because of the decisions that he made before. Not only is he alienated from his home because he's far away, but he also is completely out of step, in a good way in this case, with the rest of the culture around him. And so this book is simultaneously a love story, but also from both of their perspectives. She's a pastor's daughter. Her dad's a bishop, I think AME church, if I remember right, in Memphis. So they're both pastors' kids. They're both sort of grappling with what this new relationship means in a racist and bigoted society. And they're both trying to figure out their complicated sorts of relationships with home and with God. Because one of the themes that you'll see in Marilyn Robinson everywhere is grace. So I think it was in Gilead, the first one, she talks about, I think about it all the time, prevenient grace. We have that concept in Christian theology of a grace that goes before, that there's a kind of prevenient courage that does the same thing, a courage that goes before and shapes and forms you to be able to have the courage that you'll need. A lot of that plays out here. And just like the other books, it's not that you are thinking about these concepts of grace and redemption because there's sort of abstract philosophizing about them in here. You don't really even know, because you're in the internal life of these characters until at the end you realize where she's been taking you. So it's a captivating book, as always, well worth reading. Jack, that's number 1 on the favorite books of 2020, and I'll be back tomorrow with number 2. This is Russell Moore, and this is Reading in Exile.